Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industry. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I'm just excited to be back. I love the new year. I love everything that brings for us. And when I think about the topics about, what we need to cover on the podcast, definitely sustainability, energy efficiency. These are one of my favorite things to talk about. And so I want to just give you a couple updates on the podcast itself. We will be, of course, coming to you every week. We have this come out on Mondays. So if you haven't subscribed to that yet, please do that so it shows up in your podcast every week. We would love to have you there. And, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know. Or if you know of somebody else that you want to have on the podcast, please let me know. But today we're going to jump into my special guest, Michelle. I am so thrilled to have you here. I met you via Zoom, and I was like, okay, what can I sign her up for? Just everything that I can do. So we'll start with the podcast. And I do want to mention that we will be having a sustainability summit, virtual summit in February that I also want you to be a part of, Michelle. And so everybody can listen to this and then come back and join us again in February. So Michelle, take it away, kind of who you are and what you do.
Great. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So who am I? My name is Michelle Schwery, and I am the portfolio director for ABB Motion Services here in the US. What does that mean? So what that means is I have responsibility for the services product management and our market analytics and making sure that we have what we need for our motors and drives customers here in the US. And one other role that I fill is what we call our Greener in Motion champion for the motion business here. Super exciting.
I love the champion, right? I can get behind that word and all that comes with that in the meaning. But tell us how you got, introduced into our industry.
So it really was by happenstance. I was looking to make a move in my career at the time. And I was pretty lucky. I had a colleague of mine that had moved over into and taken a role with ABB in their data center business. So in the services group in the data center business. So for the first 15 years of my career, I was supporting data center work and service from that standpoint. And then an opening came up over on the industrial side with the drives business. And I've been here ever since. So, I was held multiple roles throughout my career, but this one has definitely been the most exciting. Is kind of managing that services portfolio for the industrial customers.
Yeah, and I think that it's neat how you came into ABB and you kind of worked all these different jobs within there and got to know what the product lines, what the services were needed, and I think that sets you up for understanding, how they can be sustainability, how they can be sustainable, and we will talk a little bit about that circularity because I think that that's really important to understand. Each element of the business allows you to be able to think this way. So what does sustainability mean to you?
So sustainability really is how do we meet our needs, right, in a responsible way that leaves resources for the future people, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, to meet those same needs, right? So how can we make choices, whether it is in our personal life or in our business life, to make sure that, we're not consuming more in this world than can be left for those to be able to meet those same needs.
Right. And really just keeping up with it. I think having a mindfulness about it. Some of that is just the first steps of it. And, I think that, I mentioned that circularity. That's one of the things that when I heard about this, I was like, well, this makes common sense, right? Okay, we're creating these products. Where do they go? How can we reuse them? how is ABB like addressing this? What does that look like for you, for your company?
So we're addressing it in a couple of ways. So first, we are educating our staff, our partners, our customers um, on circularity, right? A lot of people even can go in and look at and confuse sustainability and circularity, right? They think that's interchangeable. It's not really. And from our standpoint, right, we're also doing that through on circularity through our portfolio of services. So, circularity is really about managing our resources, extending the life cycle as it makes sense in customers' equipment. So, when you're designing a facility, you're designing it for the long term, not, just, hey, when something that may be a little bit more energy efficient comes out, I'm just going to throw away this old one and put a new one in. It's how do we maximize the energy efficiency that we have, do that through customized maintenance plans. For example, let's take a look at what our customers are using. Can we combine resources to have better output? Can we watch how the equipment is working and say, hey, maybe this piece of equipment that isn't utilized as much, maybe we can elongate the time period between the maintenance plans for that system. Can we watch the equipment from a digital perspective and also maybe avoid some downtime because we have predicted a failure before it happens, therefore, really kind of lengthening the life of that equipment. And then when we can't do that anymore, right? If we can modernize the equipment towards the end of that life, put the latest technology in that same cabinet or whatever it might be. And if we can't do that, can we responsibly recycle it at the end? And just make sure that, as we go through and use the resources, how do we get to the point where really our waste is diminished and that facility, stays up and running and processes as long as it can?
Yeah. And I think this is a great like mind shift, if you will. And I think you have to be in this has to be a sustainable goal that you have in order for this to work. Because I mean, you have lots of amazing leading technology that you could say, well, we're going to sell this because this is the best, the latest, the most expensive. I don't know if that's the case, but you know what I mean? Like this, we're going to push this. And I think a salesperson's natural ability, would be to do that. But if you have these sustainable goals in place, you're going to look for that solution that fits across the board. What is best for the company, the client, the customer, the world, right? In our environment. So I think that I love it. Obviously, I love the whole way we think about this, but I also just see that your company does kind of think about the long term and how it affects people in business in so many different levels. And this is just another way that you do that. I am curious, and I think, I mean, when I first met you, we talked a little bit more on your personal side and your personal side of the journey. I don't know if you want to go into that, but you super inspired me as far as being a woman that has led, from, starting off and growing within a company, growing as a mom in this industry. I think it's definitely a role model. You are a role model, whether you wanted to be or not. And I think, that was very touching to see the different options that you do have in our industry. And so I just wanted you to know that I took that as definitely a piece that inspired me, and I hope that others get to know you in that regard as well.
I love that. Thank you. And I think it's important. A lot of us, even as I sit here and blush a little bit, a lot of us shy away from sharing our stories. And I find that as I get older, I realized that if I had heard some other stories out there when I was younger, it really would have been, it would have been great. So I just, from my standpoint, I can talk a little bit about it. I started when I got the position that I got within the organization. I was an administrative assistant, single mom with 2 kids, right? Just trying to make ends meet, and found a passion for service. So lucky in that. And throughout those years, I had just phenomenal leaders those leaders that saw something in me and were like, hey, let's work with you to bring you up to that next level. So it's important as a leader, as a woman in this industry, because there's so few of us, right? To encourage others and help lift them up and bring them kind of along the way. And when you see something, to recognize it and help grow that for that person. I was lucky, so lucky to have that within ABB.
Yeah. And I think that you can see that mentorship, that, reaching out to the young professionals that are out there and kind of taking that approach to lead them and show what's available. Because all throughout service, I mean, there's so many pathways, there's so many different job careers that you could have went in, or you could have stayed where you were, and that could be fine too. But, just having that initial push or somebody saying they see something in you, like, it's really all that's needed sometimes. And I know that it made a difference in your life and so many others, and so I just wanted to mention that. So thanks for sharing that with us. Is there anything else as far as like what you're working on, or something that that you want to make sure that our listeners know?
From a motion standpoint, from our services standpoint, we're really working to be sustainability champions with our customers, right? Partnering with our customers, making sure that we leave this world a better place than when we stepped in here. And that is through just collaboration and collaborating even across the businesses, where in the past I might have said, hey, I'm only going to go in and pay attention to the service piece of it. To your point, like, it's sometimes easy, you're going to focus on the widget that you're selling. But we're working here just to really kind of partner with our customers and just make sure that we're making responsible decisions and making responsible headway for the environment. So
I love it. Well, thank you for, just sharing time with me, for one, and pointing out the difference between sustainability and circularity and being intentional about that. I think there's so many options there that are going to help us kind of move everybody, maybe not everybody all at once, right, into this direction, but where they are, meeting our customers where they are, which is fabulous. And then the other thing, ABB is a sponsor of the Empowering Women Conference, which we have a local conference in March in Tuscaloosa, but our annual conference is in October in Chicago. So I'll look forward to seeing all of you there as well. So much that we could talk about. I'm so excited to have you back on for the summit in February. And then, everybody, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Give us a rating and review. Give us some feedback. I love to receive emails about the podcast, so definitely do that. And Michelle, before I let you go, can we do a little rapid fire?
Sure.
These are always fun. I want to know, what is your favorite book?
Oh my gosh. It is The Coldest Winter by David Halberstam. So it's funny. It's a book about the Korean War. Crazy. My grandpa was a POW, and he's actually featured in the beginning of that book. And it's just such a story of people and, really kind of what they went through. So yeah, I know that's really a weird choice.
I love it.
Yeah, but it's phenomenal. It's a huge book, but it's worth every minute of reading it.
And it's special to you and your family, which means it's special to us. Okay, favorite song or band?
Oh, well, Willie Nelson is my favorite, hands down. Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain is my favorite song. Love it.
I love it. I love that you can pick a favorite. And then best advice you've ever received?
To slow down just a little bit. Slow down. I get excited. I get excited about whatever it is, and that I'm passionate about at the time. So slowing down and making sure I understand what's put in front of me before I respond. The best advice ever.
I love it. And then, what is your advice to someone coming into our industry?
So don't be afraid. From a woman's standpoint, I have to say a lot of women will go in and often be afraid to share their opinion. Don't be afraid to share your opinion. Speak up. It's just so important to make sure that you know that that you're heard and taken seriously. So don't be afraid to speak up. The industry is phenomenal. I've never had I again love the data center business for many years. I love services clearly, but industrial, I can see so many different amazing things that it's definitely worth getting in there and looking at it. And I'll say one more thing, right? I can be at a wind farm today and a dam tomorrow, and a water pumping application, right? Wastewater facility. There's so many different amazing engineering things that I can see on a regular basis that I don't think I could see anywhere else. So focusing in on this industrial business is so much fun.
I love it. And what we know, and we love to say around here, is that we're vital to life. And it's true. The equipment gives us our comfort and it gives us our ability to survive in this world. And I am just so thankful. So thank you for what you do in the industry and for jumping on here and just giving us a little idea of what your world looks like within it. So thank you again, Michelle, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.